I'm also vibe coding an app right now called Pina Collocator.
No, you're not.
I have a working version of it.
What does it locate? The nearest pina colada?
It locates the nearest pina colada, and it has ratings.
That is insane, dude.
I actually mapped my action button to a Siri shortcut that just goes on Yelp and searches pina colada and sorts by nearest to me.
See, but if we released
Dedicated
a phone that had a dedicated pina collocator button.
Totally different. Yo, what is up, people of the internet? Welcome back to another episode of the Waveform podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Marques.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm David.
This week, we've got, a Samsung Unpacked event date and some leaks of what might be announced there. A quick explanation on why we haven't done video on Spotify yet. We also got some brief early Robotaxis. I'm doing air quotes for audio listeners. Robotaxi tests, Fairphone 6, and we're also going to try to explain to David the NBA Finals in tech terms.
And I have a small camera segment that I want to rant about.
It's all happening.
Yeah.
Right now. But first, Mario Kart World. You wanted to talk about Mario Kart World, the game.
I know Adam also wants to, and I'm sure David probably does too.
I played some.
Have you played Knockout?
I did play Knockout Tour. It is quite fun.
Knockout is the most fun I've had in Mario Kart ever, I think.
It's a good format.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's 15-ish minutes of just complete chaos.
Yeah.
And I enjoy every second of it. I love it.
So for people that don't know, generally when you're doing a pre in Mario Kart, generally you play like 4 different courses and it's just 4 different races and you go around like 3 times each course. This one in Knockout Tour, you just drive the entire time and you go through multiple courses and the courses blend into each other and it's like 15 minutes long and it's quite fun. And it's like Fortnite at the same time.
Yeah,
and Marques Brownlee if you're playing with Marques.
That's a good point.
Wow.
It's basically Mario Kart Battle Royale because there's like checkpoints that start knocking out X amount of people throughout it. So I think the first time is like you have to be top 20, then top 16, then 12, and it keeps saying like make sure you're in the 12. And because there's so many people and the way it always seems to be split up is 1 or 2 people out in front, this huge group of people in the middle, and then like a couple in the back.
Yeah.
If you get hit in the front with like a blue shell or something, there's just like a beehive of players and items behind you. You can go in first place by a mile to like 20th place in a couple seconds, it feels like.
I like that they also added a way to avoid blue shells now.
Well, they've always had the speaker, which can avoid.
Well,
blue
yeah,
shells.
but you can stop and then like reverse right before it hits you.
Can you really? I did not know
What?
that.
I did not know
They
that.
added a bunch of really insane tech to this game. Like, you can like jump off walls now, and you can do all this.
They
crazy,
added a lot of insane tech, like
not
reverse.
technology, like reverse.
Well, some
Like
of the like speedrun videos that are out right now just don't even look like they're playing Mario Kart.
Yeah, it looks
They're,
like a totally different game.
Yeah, they like cut across the middle and wall ride and like ride the invisible wall into a grind and stuff like that. But Knockout feels just so chaotic that like anyone kind of feels like they have a chance. My only thing I don't love about it is it seems really straight. There's not a ton of turning, and maybe that's the like the between maps thing where it's just kind of like keep going. But I wanted more drifting.
Yeah, that makes sense. I have a complaint about Mario Kart.
Cool.
Okay, so in where I live, my friend David Kogan has this cafe called Coffee Check, and it's great. And in the back, he has this giant 100-inch TV. It's really big. So,
Dude, it's huge.
it's really big.
I saw it a few weeks ago too. It's like
It's big. So we've been having Mario Kart nights back there. They limit you to 4 people on a TV. And if you want to, like, we had a party of like 20 people, right? On a 100-inch TV, I want to be able to have like 20 different races, like players, right? And you can connect a bunch of Joy-Cons to a Switch. Yeah. But you can only do local Mario Kart with a lot of people if you have the main Switch hooked up to the TV with 4 people. And then each individual other Switch can only have 2 people per Switch. So you have to have, instead of being able to play on like a giant TV with like a ton of different mini screens, you have to basically have a bunch of extra switches, and you can only put 2 people per extra switch. And it's just like, it just feels like a waste of space. And I understand that the Switch does not know the screen size of the TV it's hooked
like
up
there's
to.
no way you have a 100-inch screen.
Yeah. But what if I have a 7-inch screen and I want to put 20 races on it? I feel like that should be
let
okay.
them suffer that part.
Yeah.
It's like still that somebody picking to put 8 screens on a 30-inch TV, which is not going to make sense. But I do agree. The only game I've ever found that can put more than 4, and I'm probably wrong, but Bomberman is super fun to bring to a party because
How many can you put on that?
I think you put 8 because it's all on the same screen. It's not split
Yeah,
screen.
it's the
Because
same thing
just-
with Super Smash Bros. You can have
true,
You can have up to 8 players now, but it's all on the same screen as well.
Yeah, I think the multi-screen, it might be a compute limit thing. Like you can't have 8 different races happening on, 8 different
streams.
perspectives on the same screen
Yeah,
because of
maybe.
the compute, not because of the UI.
But I
my
thought it
guess
was
would
the
be Bluetooth.
fastest game console.
or potentially.
Well, you can hook up multiple, like Bomberman, you can have 8 controllers on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I haven't played Mario Kart. I haven't gamed like that. But when I was watching other people do the 4-player split screen, the frame rate was definitely kind of eating it.
I didn't notice when we played, and we were on the like 85-inch 8K television.
when you guys were playing here the other night, I kept being like, that is not 30. That is not even 24.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
It would
I thought
like
it felt great.
fluctuate. Like there would be certain, I don't know, maybe it's because I wasn't locked in and driving, but watching like the background elements go by and stuff, I was like, this thing is chugging. I can tell it's chugging to
Maybe
render
we
4
were too
cameras.
locked in. We didn't even notice.
I think so.
You were
Because
locked in for
It
greatness.
wasn't subtle. It was like,
Yeah.
That's the perfect description of Switch gaming. It's like it's not really about the fidelity and like having the most incredible specs and highest compute. It's just like I like this game. I want to play this game.
The Switch 2 though, like they really, they took that idea, but then they were like, but what if also it looked like Unreal Engine, which is kind of nice.
A lot of frames.
But
Do you know what my biggest complaint about Mario Kart is?
what?
You can't change the wheels on your carts.
Oh, yeah.
Like you used to be able to pick cart, parachute, wheels, and character. Now you only choose cart and character, right?
Yeah.
I also don't think there's enough courses. There's like 7 different worlds with 4 courses each or something, and I feel like that's not enough.
I haven't gone that deep into it, but 8 was around forever,
Yeah,
right? And just kept adding. So
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be more.
Yeah. So also, Dunkey put out a full actual review of Mario Kart
It
World.
was so good.
It's so good. He's so good. But it's very funny. You should go watch it. Anyway, now that we're done with the Nintendo Switch 2 gaming podcast, it's time for the phone show.
Gadgets.
It's time for like the stuff that this whole podcast was
stuff-
built off.
Yeah.
Come on, guys, we got to kick
Actually-
up the energy, okay? This is a phone. We got to get excited. Come
Hey,
on, let's
First Waveform episode ever was about the second Unpacked event.
Second ever?
No. Like, do they call both of them Unpacked?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Yeah. Like the
Guys,
secondary.
This was a trivia
Unpacked.
question.
Was it really?
Yeah. It was
Well, I get a point, right?
I don't
Not
remember
anymore.
who got the point.
So, I mean, they do the Galaxy S Unpacked at the beginning of the year, and then they do the foldables in like August or something.
It used
I
to be
guess
August.
earlier now.
Now it's
But they should call the second one Unpacked 2 Electric Boogaloo or Galaxy Boogaloo, something like that.
Or two Sam, two Sung,
I like that.
unpacked.
That joke never gets old.
I like that. I actually tweeted that joke 6 years ago.
Wait, did Andrew show you the Photoshop template he made?
I'm never gonna live this down.
I'm sorry.
What
to
did
throw
you
under
say
the
again,
bus.
David?
Andrew made a Photoshop template so that you could just type anything in and it would come up as a tweet you made 6 years ago.
I'll save this.
I hate everything. Okay, well,
Anyway, Samsung Unpacked.
Yeah, we're expecting some foldable phones like usual. Fold and Flip 7. So that's not shocking. We get the fold and the flip at the same time each year, so we're expecting those.
yeah.
But also in the invitation they're saying Ultra unfolds.
Yeah, it's
so
an
maybe
Ultra Fold.
So excited.
it's going to be like the Fold 7 Ultra.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Do we think so? Yeah, I don't.
Okay, right now it looks like it's potentially thinner. I think that they should put the S Pen in it finally because we have been saying they're going to do that for like literally forever.
And it
But not if
supports
they made
the
it
S Pen.
thinner.
And if the 85-year-old woman at the airport can use a fold with an S Pen that was probably attached to the case on the outside,
Yeah.
they should add it to the inside so she can use it.
The more I think about that, the more crazy that sounds.
Doesn't it make sense though? It makes sense. Old people should use Galaxy Folds.
Yeah,
Or Pixel
absolutely.
Folds.
It's going to be $3 trillion.
I'm going to run my next mayoral campaign on that.
So the reason we think it's thinner is just the way the like invitation kind of opens with like it looking.
Yeah.
Or has there been reports of it being thinner? I have not.
No, I
seen
don't think
that.
so. I don't know.
Okay. So, like,
better camera. That's what they said it was, right? I think that's what people were saying.
Did they?
That's what I
All
was
my
gonna
rumors
ask.
are on the flip.
Because the folds never have the actual S cameras, they always have like worse cameras because they're thinner.
Because Marques always says that like that's pretty much the only difference now between like a pro and a non-pro is like how many cameras it has. But the Ultras have always had the best cameras, right? In Samsung devices, and then the Folds do not.
Yeah.
So the rumor is that this will have the Ultra, or will
I don't know
have
if it'll
the
be the
regular.
Ultra camera, but it's I think it's supposed to be at least better than the regular Fold cameras, how they usually
But
are.
if it's going to be like an Ultra phone, why not put the Ultra cameras on?
Yeah, might as
because
well.
money.
Well, I mean, we can charge more.
Well,
people will probably still pay for
That
it.
is a rumor I
That's
have.
true.
It does seem like they're probably charging more because there was a Italian electronics website that accidentally leaked the prices. I guess they like put the prices up on their website with the code names for it, but someone found out, and it seems like the Fold is 200 euros more and the Flip is 100 euros more expensive than last year.
Interesting. There's not a Flip Ultra though, right?
No, but I think Evan Blast may have tweeted about it, but a Galaxy Flip 7 FE. So a cheaper Flip version, which makes sense because Razer did that and actually made a like super
Razer?
reasonably priced.
made a
Or
699.
Motorola, sorry.
okay.
The Motorola Razer had was it,
$699.
like 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
They still have a cheap one. They still have a $600 one.
That's like the Flip. That style feels like the folding phone for like the regular people. So
Yeah.
I think having the cheaper version of that
I see
makes
a lot of
ton
Flips on the
sense.
subway. They're quite popular in New York. Yeah.
I've been seeing a lot more Folds lately too. I had not seen any Folds for the longest. I've only seen Flips, and recently I've been seeing like random Folds in the wild.
Like shirts that are unsteamed.
Yeah, like they need ironing out.
The Samsung pleat.
Crumple phone is coming.
But yeah, $2,000 Fold 7 this year. Do we think it's
Fold 7
gonna
Ultra.
happen? Fold
Specific-
7 Ultra?
Do we know, is there going to be an Ultra and a regular one, or is it just going to be the Ultra?
It would be very Samsung to have both, to have a Fold 7 and a Fold 7 Ultra,
That'd be so ridiculous.
because it's just two different price points.
Yeah.
And then a-
$17.99, $19.99.
They should make an Ultra Fold 7 FE, but the screen comes broken when you get it. That's
As a
how they make
callback to the original Fold.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
Fan edition. Only fans want to
Uses the original Fold screen.
So you think we're going to get 4 phones at this event?
Yeah, that wouldn't check me.
7 Ultra, 7 regular, 7 Flip, 7 Flip FE.
Listen, if this was an Apple event, we'd be like, whoa, 4 phones. That's slow. Like,
Yeah, but this is the second event already. We
yeah,
already
but
had,
it's Samsung,
Yeah.
Yeah.
who already has 90 other phone models.
Yeah.
So this is just what's 4 more.
What do you think? Like do you think we're gonna get the 7 Edge Flip FE Ultra
Pro.
Pro
Max.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, you know.
I really, really hope that the Ultra is like a significant bump, because every single year, every Samsung phone is like, it's the same.
Yeah, the past couple years of Folds have been very small improvements. Little tiny bit of a hinge dimension improvement, a little bit of
The Flip got a bigger
thinner
screen on the
bezel.
front, but-
yeah, the Flips definitely, but the Folds
Yeah.
for like 3 or 4 generations
been
have
the
been
same.
very similar. So
Yeah.
curious to see how that turns out. I'm expecting the Snapdragon 8 Elite. Hopefully, other stuff also gets better as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's crazy we're on Fold 7 already. To think about that, actually.
We're old. And we're on the Watch 8. Maybe
Yes.
they should adopt the Apple thing and just say Watch 2026.
I mean, do you want to talk?
Do it. They did it with the phones already.
They did it with the phones already, you're right.
I think it kind of makes sense. I mean, Razer does that, not Motorola, but the gaming company Razer. With their
Oh.
laptops, they just call it like Blade 2025 or whatever. I think that's smart.
It is. Well, do you want to talk about something actually visual, which is we've seen the whole Galaxy Watch 8 lineup, and it's quite a bit different. At least the regular Galaxy Watch 8, we're going all Squircle, baby. We're here.
With the regular one?
Yeah, look at the regular one. Compared last year was, I mean, it's always been just pretty, or maybe not always, but the last few generations have been just normal circle. Now we've got kind of this like,
Do you consider that a Squircle?
No, but the Ultra is squircling.
Yeah, the
Or
Ultra
Ultra's-
is
The,
extra
the
Squircle.
Ultra is like
I feel like it's not that much different, just thinner. It's got like, they all have circular screens, but
That's
these
true.
little extra rounded edges on the outside of the screen.
Yeah, like the case is
Like the
Squircle,
case,
but the
yes.
Oh, I
screen
see.
is
Yeah.
circle.
Yeah.
That's weird.
That's totally new.
That's pretty weird.
I think it looks good.
I think it was pretty cool. I'm in the market for a new watch right now, and seeing the Watch 8 Classic, I was like, maybe that's what I want.
Man, the Classic has
smartwatch.
always been Samsung's best
The rotating
watch.
bezel's
Rotating
fire.
bezel is so good.
So fire.
The Golf, bro. The Golf
edition.
I think that's the cleanest one they've made. As someone who
plays golf,
doesn't play golf, doesn't use a Android, has never owned a Samsung phone other than my very first phone, and also
the minimal phone's Android.
Sorry, I meant Samsung, not Android.
Okay.
And so yeah, I'm probably not the best, but when they dropped the Golf, I was like, I like it.
That's how they get them.
Well, the watches, Adam, can you tell me, how do you feel about these watches?
Rate three of these.
I feel
Explain
like you're
them
the
and
watch
rate
boy.
them.
I was just looking at, so I'm
The Watch 8 Classic, like this white render, looks like a gift you would give a stormtrooper on his wedding.
that it does.
I think it
but
looks
the Watch
sick.
8 Classic, it reminds me a lot of like the Seiko Turtles. So any watch people out there, there's like a brand called Seiko that makes a billion watches. There's one called the Turtle, which has like a squircle cushion case thing.
Sure does.
And it gives me that vibe.
Oh, yeah, true.
Especially because it looks like, that's what I was trying to figure out in these pictures. It looks like there's a rotating bezel on it.
There is.
On
Yeah.
the-
There
Classic,
is, right? On
there
the
is.
Classic, yeah.
Yeah.
So then on the Ultra, there isn't, it looks like.
No.
No.
Okay. So in that case, I like the Classic a lot more than the Ultra this time around.
Oh, so you do like the rotating bezel?
I love the rotating bezels.
Then why did you do that?
I didn't
No,
do
that was
That was
Alice.
Alice.
Wow.
You just can't see with their new board. It's
Yeah,
so
they got-
tall.
Yeah,
You
it's
can't-
too tall.
For video viewers and for audio listeners, they have a giant new mixer.
What? No. What were you talking about? We've been doing this forever.
You can barely see their shirts.
Everything's exactly the same.
They're not going to hear that, right?
No, we can record that now.
Oh, we're
yeah.
Oh, wow.
New board.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Classic would be the one that I go with, just because it has that aesthetic, and I really love the whole diver watch aesthetic.
Do you use the Galaxy watches or like what?
I used the Ultra when it came out after Marquez's review. I borrowed it for like a week or two and I tried it. I liked it. It's just the battery life was not great.
Oh.
In my usage.
What do you use now?
Now I'm using a Moon Swatch,
Ooh,
which is
very nice.
That's cute. Who got you that?
Is that Android?
You guys did. No, this is a Quartz watch, but the smartwatch that I use is Pixel Watch 3 and Garmin, depending what I'm doing. Those are the two. But Garmin, you don't have to charge like ever. Like that's what I want out of an Ultra. If they're gonna do another Galaxy Watch Ultra like this, let me not charge it for 2 weeks.
That was supposed to be the selling point. They were like, it's got
Same thing with
really
Apple
good
Watch.
battery.
Like the Ultras just don't have the battery
Yeah.
life to match
They're like,
anything
it's
else.
2 days.
Because every time they
instead of
improve
one.
the things on the inside, they also give it a bigger, brighter
Yeah,
screen than
yeah.
ever before.
Yeah.
And they just neutral it out. They neutral each other out and they go, hey, it's all day.
all day. It's like, how about all multiple days?
It is.
Yeah.
All-
2 days.
All 7 days.
It's called Ultra, but actually Hella, who we've spoken to on the podcast before, he had a video recently where he was talking about his experiences using all of these different watches while running actual ultra marathons.
Yeah.
And the Apple Watch Ultra was the only one that died.
Yeah.
Like
Oh.
he doesn't
Well, remember
even,
when
like-
we interviewed him, he said that he would basically like be running and he'd take it off and hand it to somebody to charge while he was running and then he'd put it back on.
and he literally only uses it because that's where his like streak is, because he has like a crazy 4,000 day streak or something. But that's where he
I mean, Apple added a
tracks
feature
it.
where you can pause your streak.
They did. The newest version.
No
They're like,
one
would you like to
does
pause your rings? It's like, yeah, you can just pause it.
For how long?
Yeah.
And how many times can you
As
do
long
it?
as
I
you
think it's
want.
indefinitely. You can just pause them.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely defeat the purpose.
Yeah.
Sounds fun, right?
Anticipation
if you're gonna
past.
like if you're sick or you break your leg, God
Yeah,
forbid,
what if you-
and like something
yeah.
happens and you can't keep your streak,
Yeah.
you lost your streak.
You lost
It's
your
fine.
streak.
Just like
That's true.
What if I'm in the
You do
middle
just
of
need to
some
accept
good One
change.
Piece arc and I don't have time to run?
Buy a streak.
Pause.
Just watch it while you're running.
no.
Okay.
Probably
Well,
a good idea.
Regardless, we don't really know much about these watches. They look mostly the same. Hopefully, the people out there that are big fans continue to be big fans.
But speaking of watching things,
That's right.
Well done.
Very nice. Spotify video. People have been asking us about this for
I literally can't
Every
tweet
week.
about anything without people being like,
why isn't the video on Spotify?
yeah, why can't I watch this on Spotify?
Spotify just doesn't have good search. That's like the number one reason I would not put video on Spotify.
I would say the number one reason we don't do it is like we put a lot of effort into our production quality and like we think YouTube is the best place to watch
Don't you also
the
have to?
effort that we put in.
Well, we also need to make money.
Well, yeah, okay, so that's the other large reason, which I'll get into a little deeper, but like for real, we put a lot of effort into the production of this, and YouTube's the best place to watch that good production.
Yeah.
So that's what we trust the most.
I'd rather watch it on my smartwatch Spotify app screen. That's the best way to watch Waveform.
I think all of us here would agree. Does anyone here use Spotify video?
I do not.
No. I don't even use Spotify podcasts.
I do sometimes, but yeah, I don't watch the video versions.
I will say it is nice to have a video version. I think this is the thing that people want. When you're listening to the audio and the host, like we do sometimes, is like pointing something out, or we show a render on the screen, to just be able to like glance at your phone and see the video is pretty helpful. And I think that's more what people want.
Agreed.
I don't think that people are necessarily like clamoring for YouTube in Spotify. Like, it's just like to have the extra context of things where your player already is.
Mm-hmm. Another reason, and this has been an ongoing thing for many months, and a website called DigiDay just did an article about kind of how the creator partner program in Spotify has been working and why it's, really good for some people and really bad for other people. So we happen to be in the bad scenario, which is we're in the bad place. Well, we're not in the bad place. We're avoiding the bad place. I'll do a really quick breakdown of this, but basically if you are a podcast not associated with a network, it's probably an awesome thing because you're not using dynamically inserted ads. You're not really selling much ad space probably, or if you're independent, not doing that. There is a Spotify partner program where if you get views on your videos, you will get paid for it. We are part of a network, kind of like YouTube. We and a lot of other podcasts are part of a network, and the main way a lot of these networks make money is through dynamically inserted ads, which can be obviously inserted differently depending on wherever we put ad breaks. So like we're under Vox Podcast Network. We were under Studio 71 before. The reason we're with these is because we started a podcast when we'd never done a podcast before. They've been a ton of help helping us succeed in the podcast world, which is awesome because they have no say in our episodes. All they do is sell ads here. And we work with them to do that. And they've helped with a lot of stuff in terms of, why can't I think of
like
the word?
Live show.
Distributing and the live show and stuff like that.
Distribution.
They're great partners in that sense. The problem with uploading videos to the Spotify partner program in this is that it removes our opportunity to put in dynamically inserted ads, I believe, even in the audio section of Spotify. So for a lot of people like us who this is one of the main ways we make money and keep this podcast afloat. We have 5 people working here on it now. It would severely cut revenue in that. And that's why a lot of people are super hesitant, especially because Spotify doesn't have the best track record of paying people on their platform very well when it comes to partner program stuff like that. Musicians, at least, from what we've seen. So, this is ongoing. I'm sure things will change. I know Vox is probably working with Spotify in some sense and keeping up to date with everything. But really quick, that's why we are not on Spotify video right now. Could change in the future. We'll see how it goes. But that's like a really big risk. And from what I know, I don't think you can go back once you do it.
Oh,
I might not be totally sure on that.
But I also think it's just like the use case. Like in YouTube, the reason we upload the video for YouTube since the beginning is the searchability and discoverability. Yeah. And podcasts do not have that. Mm-hmm. And Spotify right now, anything that it's pretty much like what they decide to push is what gets discovered, for better or for worse. So if we upload video, it's not necessarily going to be added to this giant search engine that's going to surface our podcast to people that we don't normally reach. It's just going to be for our immediate fans that can see it, which is good. But then, like you said, we miss out the dynamically inserted ads, and it opens up a whole other can of worms that we haven't quite figured out yet, and that Spotify quite hasn't figured out yet.
Yeah, and we don't want to risk our good show, a good thing going with that.
Yeah.
And
It's still pretty early.
We're YouTubers first. We think a lot of our audience, even if you listen to the audio podcast, like you are also probably a YouTube consumer. We like interacting with you guys in the YouTube comments. We like to keep you guys in this one place where we can have this fluid conversation. I think in the future, there is a way, there's probably some sort of way that we can allow people to get out of the Spotify app and quickly look at something. Like, I wish you could just put like a slideshow with your Spotify podcast so that when we need to show someone a picture, they could stop doing the dishes, pull out their phone, look at it. But
if we made a federated version of YouTube.
I was just thinking that 6 years ago. It's so crazy.
That's actually crazy. You were ahead of the curve.
So ahead of the curve.
I will say, I do think it's interesting how hard Spotify is attacking this, though. Like, they keep adding features to their podcast section of Megaphone, which is their service that we use to upload audio and stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, the comments, you can comment on Spotify, and I do read those. Those are pretty funny. People pretty clever in there. But again, like, the amount of comments we get on Spotify versus YouTube is just like not even comparable.
Yeah.
It's like insane. And I also get all the analytics, and the number of people listening to the podcast on Spotify is like pretty much the same / going down. We have other people like Pocket Cast doing good work that's like dragging people away, and YouTube Music, whatever they decide to take podcasts seriously, will be another competitor. So it's just like there's so much up in the air right now.
It is interesting how many people listen to podcasts on Spotify now. When I send anyone a podcast and I'm like, listen to this, they always open it in Spotify, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Because it seems like, at least in America, we want more dedicated stuff. Like, we don't like super apps here as much. Like in China, they have WeChat, which you can do everything in. You can call your taxi in it. You can pay your taxes in it. You can do freaking everything in WeChat.
Yeah.
But here it's like, one company having all that data about you, people are not that comfortable with. So it's interesting to me that people have, I guess it was a good move by Spotify to like push into the podcast space, because every single normal person that I talk to uses Spotify for podcasts, which I just don't like. Something that's annoying for me on Spotify podcasts, when you listen to one podcast on Spotify, it starts like surfacing podcasts in your like, you should listen to this. And it's like, I just want to listen to music in my music app.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do want like a separate section for podcasts usually.
Yeah.
When I think of Spotify, I think of music typically.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Also, YouTube is still the number one podcast player.
YouTube's the number one everything. They're bigger than Netflix. They're bigger than everything.
Its search is just so good. That's what they're trust me, they're doing plenty of things with podcasts that I have no idea if they're going to work or not, but it's still discoverability seems like the best thing.
Yeah.
Wait, can I take back something I said about Spotify a few weeks ago?
No, you cannot. That's it.
This
Moving
is
on.
No takesy backsies, Andrew.
I said I was starting to enjoy Spotify DJ, and I regret that. I continued to keep using it. It played me the same songs like 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah, that happens,
every day it was just like the same 5 songs. It thinks I love Forgetting Myself by Third Eye Blind. And then this morning it stopped that and went,
not?
I'm going to bring you back to something you've had your eye on. Semi-Charmed Life right after.
I think
Greatest
David
song of
hacked
all
your
time.
algorithm.
Greatest song of all time. That's the first song on bangersonly.net every week. Okay, so that's it for now for the Spotify stuff. But I think we're going to take a quick break. And when we're back, we have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, which means it's time for trivia.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of Waveform Trivia. So guys, in the news today, we had IO and IO getting mad at each other,
Ayo.
legally speaking, about which vaporware company was going to not release products harder. But today's question is in fact about this, and whoever on their whiteboard can name the most acronyms or definitions of IO gets today's point. And just a few rules. I will accept places, but I will not accept like people's names, and I will not accept, I think that's the only thing I won't accept. I think I'm looking for acronyms, definitions, places. Just know, like, you can't say like Ingrid Orenson. I don't know. That's like an imaginary Swedish person I just made up. Thanks. Or no, I don't know. You guys get the idea. So yeah, most IO definitions and acronyms.
Can I also say something?
Absolutely, David.
Johnny Ive, the whole IO thing with Johnny Ive, the purchase of OpenAI by buying their own company with Johnny Ive slapped onto it is still happening.
Yeah.
But they removed all the IO branding from the company.
While this lawsuit.
While this lawsuit happens, no one's. Sam Altman is like, they wanted to get bought and we said no, and it seems like IO was like they wanted to buy us and we said no, and no one can agree, and it's fine because they're both making fake stuff anyway. Allegedly.
I think there will be something from the OpenAI thing, but I don't know if it'll be good.
Yeah, it'll be love.
That's true. Love from Johnny Ive.
That was good. Well, because his design firm is called Love. Okay. Well, you know what? We'll see after the break.
Okay.
Support for this show comes from Salesforce. You might remember a time not long ago when AI wasn't all that helpful, but today, Agentforce, the powerful AI from Salesforce, can analyze, decide, and execute tasks autonomously, operating at speeds and scales no human workforce could match. These AI agents represent a new world of digital labor that not only handles monotonous, low-value work, but orchestrates and carries out high-value, multi-step tasks. This isn't just another step forward, it's an enormous leap, redefining how work gets done and what's possible for businesses and their employees. Agentforce is adaptable, autonomous, and proactive, and of course, totally integrated in Salesforce, so they're truly part of the team. That way, you and your employees can focus on the tasks that actually move your work forward towards unseen opportunities and new growth. Agentforce, what AI was meant to be. Learn more at salesforce.com/agentforce. I have another story. This is a story about cars, and it's actually kind of a fighting story.
Marques, be really careful, because the last time I talked about cars on this podcast, I didn't hear the end of it for like 6 weeks.
Oh, I got you. No, this is all real, and this is all interesting. You remember Carplay Ultra? Remember last WWDC when they first showed us Carplay Ultra?
I think that was two WWDCs ago.
Was it 2?
Yeah.
2 years ago they showed us Carplay Ultra, and they were like, "Trust us, it's coming to a bunch of car makers." And they told us, people don't buy cars unless they have CarPlay.
Right.
And we went, really interesting, and then we moved on. And I don't know if you remember, but there were a whole bunch of like manufacturer logos on those pages, and Apple is essentially through these presentations promising that it's going to be coming to more cars and more car manufacturers soon.
Yeah.
This latest update, it's been 2 years now, is essentially a bunch of car manufacturers going, "Hey, yeah, we don't want that. We're not doing the CarPlay Ultra thing." The announcement is now the latest 3 are Mercedes, Audi, and Volvo are out on CarPlay Ultra. CarPlay Ultra being specifically the version of CarPlay that also takes over the like dash and the tachometer behind the steering wheel, all that extra stuff in your car. And all the comments are kind of just along the same lines of like, yeah, why would any car manufacturer want to support CarPlay Ultra? It's bad enough that they're giving up full control over that entertainment screen.
Yeah.
Why would they give up the whole car? There's a great quote in here from one executive at Renault, who's developing a vehicle mainly controlled by software.
It's pronounced Renault.
Renault.
Yeah.
And they told Apple, quote, "Don't try to invade our own systems."
Dang.
So it's pretty clear. A lot of car manufacturers are not into it. The only ones that seem to still be in are, and we don't have all the models yet, but are Porsche, Aston Martin, and Hyundai Kia, that like sort of company. And that's it. And the only ones we've seen so far are just the Top Gear video of them showing it to us on that Aston Martin DBX 707. I think that's the only vehicle I've seen running CarPlay Ultra.
Yeah, the one that no one can afford.
2 years ago when they first showed it off.
Yeah.
So CarPlay Ultra kind of running up against a wall here. I don't know if you guys are like expecting to try to run CarPlay Ultra, or if you're interested in CarPlay Ultra, or if you just don't care. Seems like most people don't care.
I think it's vaguely interesting, but I'm also not very interested in something that requires one platform.
An iPhone?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think this is what Apple did for their Apple Car platform? They were like, we're going to make the car, and so they designed the software for the car, and they were like, oh man, designing like manufacturing cars is hard. What if we just took the software we made and put it in other people's cars?
That's a whole other can of worms, because if you're going to design a car and you're Apple, people also expect it to be electric. They expect it to be fully self-driving, which we'll get to in a second. So there's a whole bunch of more stuff that comes from high-tech car.
Gave up on it. Also the whole manufacturing part, which is like what bankrupts most companies.
Yeah. So yeah, I think as far as being a high-tech car startup, there was a lot of variables in play, and Apple can do software.
Yeah.
But what if they just took over the software without making a car?
No.
You sound like Renault.
Do you know what company, funny enough, still seem to be going forward with CarPlay Ultra?
Aston Martin.
Which one?
Take a guess. One you wouldn't expect.
Well, the ones that I know about are Porsche, Aston Martin, and Hyundai.
So what's one you wouldn't expect because of the software it already has?
Oh, Tesla and Rivian?
Polestar.
Well, yeah.
Not that you wouldn't expect it, but their whole basis already is Android Automotive. But it seems like they're still in on CarPlay Ultra.
I think that they're just like...
No, they're one of the ones out.
They're one of the ones out?
Or at least Volvo's out. Is Polestar in
today?
No, this is from like 2 weeks ago.
That's not from today.
It's from 2 weeks But still, seems like they're still possibly in it.
I would say that they're probably out.
I would assume they were out.
They're in a quantum superposition of in and out.
The
Wave function will collapse when you buy your next Polestar because you have to observe it yourself.
The moment you look at
says
it,
they're
it becomes Android Automotive or Apple.
This article from today says that Mercedes, Audi, and Volvo and Polestar and Renault are all distancing themselves from this project.
So a lot's happened in the last 2 weeks.
Wow.
So just kidding.
Yeah.
You know what's hilarious? Who hasn't said that they're leaving CarPlay Ultra? Jaguar. Because less than a year
Copy
ago,
nothing.
the Jaguar design team was like, we have no idea what anybody wants from us.
That's very true.
Yeah.
They should just accept that
Yeah, they
it doesn't matter what they do.
Yeah, they should just be like, Apple, please design stuff for us, please.
Copy nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a very stupid fundamental question about all this that you guys could maybe help me with.
Okay.
So if I get a car
Yeah.
and it has Android Automotive,
Yeah.
but then I buy an iPhone, can I, and it supports
CarPlay.
CarPlay Ultra, can I plug in and it just takes over the car?
Yeah.
Does the car, this theoretical car, supports CarPlay Ultra and runs Android Automotive?
Yes.
Yeah.
CarPlay Ultra or CarPlay in general?
CarPlay Ultra, specifically this one.
Which is what I don't think it's exclusive, right? It's what the
That's what I'm
Polestar
wondering.
was going to do.
Yeah. In this theoretical world where that car exists, yeah, you plug in your iPhone or you connect your iPhone and it takes over all of the screens in the car.
Like buying one doesn't lock me into the phone.
That's
that
the
I
big
have.
question, yeah. That's a question.
Like the Aston Martin right now. If I have an Android phone,
It doesn't do Android Auto.
It will not do Android. It will not do CarPlay Ultra.
it will not do CarPlay Ultra.
Yeah, CarPlay Ultra still
the Aston
relies
Martin does do
on the
CarPlay.
iPhone,
But
CarPlay-
Aston Martin does do a CarPlay Ultra, right?
right?
The
Yeah.
new one.
But you need an iPhone to do
Right.
that.
Oh, is that what you're saying?
So if I have an Android phone and I have an Aston Martin because I'm awesome,
Yeah.
when I plug in,
When you plug in, you will get the normal Android Auto experience. You do
Android
not
Auto.
get CarPlay Ultra. CarPlay Ultra is if you have an iPhone, you connect it, it takes over all of the screens.
No wonder car manufacturers don't want to be involved in this. Like, dude,
Yeah.
why would you make the most expensive product you own lock you into a phone ecosystem? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, there are lots of cars that have one or the other. It's less
Yeah.
common now, but there have been plenty that have been like only CarPlay or only Android Auto.
Yeah, there's like different levels of connecting
annoying.
your phone to your car. You can just connect via Bluetooth in theory and then just like play whatever audio coming from your phone and
Yeah,
put your
but
phone in the
Jesus.
dash and that's whatever. But the
What if-
in-car software usually sucks.
What if your house was like this? What if you're like, damn, I really want to try the new ROG phone, but I have an Apple house.
Well, that's
it's
not
Apple's
entirely
dream,
fictional.
Yeah, because think about
HomePod
HomeKit.
and
Yeah,
HomeKit.
no, totally. But I mean, like, I just spent, $500,000 on a house, and now in order to change my $1,000 device's ecosystem, I would literally have to restructure the entire financial future of my life. Which I get, a car is not $500,000, but also
It could be.
It is oftentimes something you pay off over the course of decades. So it's like
Yeah.
Still does have its own UI though. Like the Aston Martin still has its own UI.
Yeah.
If you have an Android phone, it's just the Aston
Yeah,
Martin
and my
UI
house-
or regular Android.
my
Auto.
house has light switches, but I still want to use the HomePod.
Well,
Like,
this is HomeKit basically. This is why
Yeah.
Matter is important.
There are people who move into super fancy high-rise apartments with iPads embedded in the walls.
Yeah,
That's kind of like that.
yeah, that's true.
Sort of locked in there.
And honestly, like most people are fine. Like they are not upset that they are locked into an ecosystem. You know what I mean?
I guess I'm
Yeah.
that way.
They
Yeah,
actually
we
bully
are,
people
because-
who are in other ecosystems.
Right, exactly. Like we
I am also that way.
We cover all that's true. we cover like all this stuff, so we're interested in like we want to try something, but it's hard for us to even try something when it doesn't work with the ecosystem that we're locked into. But most people like, oh yeah, just give me the new iPhone, give me the new AirPods, give me the new MacBook.
You're so right, David. Like,
Yeah.
I will admit on the podcast, just so everyone knows, I've been curious about the S Pen for a while. I've really wanted to try it. Never going to.
Unfortunate.
Because you
But,
can't.
Yeah, because I literally can't.
That's exactly what I'm
Because
saying.
I'm staring at Adam's S Pen right now, and I'm just like,
If there was a smart pen protocol for your phone,
yeah, exactly.
saying.
A federated smart pen universe.
Well, speaking of cars and fantastical future stories, there was also an event, or at least some happenings, in Austin, Texas this past week. Did any of you guys see what happened
We
in
did.
Texas?
I did. It was pretty funny.
I was tagged about 1,000 times in tweets about what was happening in Texas, most of which lacked reading comprehension skills, but that's okay. That's okay, because we can still talk about it, because it was interesting.
Grok context, please.
Is this
So here's the context. Tesla finally started doing test runs that the, quote, public can use of robotaxis in Austin, Texas. It's a small geo-fenced part of Austin, and these are Tesla Model Ys. In fact, I can pull up all the stipulations of exactly the restrictions. It ran from... Oh, I need my tab open here. So if you wanted to do one of those robotaxi rides, you could pick an area in this defined geolocation.
You're already missing one. If you were an influencer selected to do one of the rides
Is
so
that
far.
part of it? You have to be selected?
Yeah, they were
You
like...
gotta get invited.
Invite only.
I think it was invite only.
Okay, so for this test, it has invite only. But essentially, this was Model Ys where there was nobody sitting in the driver's seat, but there was a Tesla employee sitting in the passenger seat. We assume that that is required for some reason.
Well, we know the reason.
Well, you know, we don't...
They had a kill switch,
It's a
too.
safety monitor. There's some speculation about what they're doing in the front seat. There is some UI on the screen that allows them to tell it to stop or pull over, and they all seem to always have their hand on the handle. We don't know why or what that means. Tesla hasn't told us, but the point is there's a Tesla employee in the front of the car, but not the driver's seat. Very important. Not the driver's seat.
Right.
You could call the car. It runs from 6 a.m. to midnight. It doesn't run in all weather situations, but in the perfect weather that we saw videos of, it was taking people to various restaurants. And
Not the airport, though.
not the airport.
Could've
Well,
been
this
the
is a
highway.
small area, didn't have any highways in it. It was up to about 35 miles an hour, but it was taking people around. It kind of resembled what you might see from a Waymo, except a Waymo doesn't have someone in the front seat. It's just a different system altogether. But this is Tesla's thing. All rides were $4.20 just because it was easy to, you know.
Because there's like 20 people that were allowed to do
promotional flat rate. We don't have to charge people. We're not making money from this yet. Onboard cameras would monitor passenger behavior, apparently, and if you're under 18, you can't do one of these rides. But it is a big step, theoretically, towards this future of what Tesla is imagining, which is robotaxis all over the world, or at least all over the parts of the world that allow it, that will just drive people around with no driver.
Didn't they also have a car that was like driving behind it to make sure that nothing would happen?
I don't...
No.
I thought I read that on The Verge.
I was watching videos from the people who were there, one from Dan from What's Inside, one from Kim, and it was just call it in the app. You'd get into the back seat. There would be a Tesla employee in the front seat, and then you'd hit the go button on the screen, and from that back seat, you'd just have the car drive you. And if anything weird started to happen, the employee could stop the car or pause it or take over or whatever they had to do. But
Did you see any videos of anyone stopping it?
I saw 2 videos. I saw one video of the car following a UPS truck. The UPS truck pulled up to clearly start to reverse into a spot. The robotaxi didn't get the signal and just continued right into the path of the UPS truck. So the employee reached over and stopped it to allow the UPS truck to back in. I saw that. Then I saw another video where there were no interjections, but it fully went to the wrong side of the road and like wiggled and then came back to the right side of the road. And that was kind of weird, but nobody interjected.
It was in a turn lane, went into the turn lane, started to turn left, then just went straight. But ahead of it is the opposite side of the road.
Right.
And then continued going forward until I got into the next turn lane. But that means for half of a block, it was in the wrong lane of traffic.
Yeah. But no intervention.
Yeah.
Success.
This article says in some cases, Tesla is using chase cars and remote drivers as backup.
Okay. I never saw, I'm going by the videos that I watched from the influencers who were invited. I don't know the criteria for the influencers invited. I was not invited, so assume whatever you want about the criteria. But yeah, that happened. There's 2 ways you can interpret this. One, wow, big step. Tesla's on their way. Robotaxi coming soon.
Shake your
Marques,
head.
get the clippers ready. Or 2, I watch that and I see marketing. It's like another very beautiful Tesla showy thing to do. If someone's required to be in the front seat, why not put him in the driver's seat?
Ooh.
Because it looks way better when no one's in the driver's seat.
Yep.
If that person's not going to intervene at all and is not going to grab the wheel, don't put him in the driver's seat. Put him in the passenger seat. But for some reason, you need them still in the front seat. That was kind of a damper. The reason they're doing that is because they're being extremely cautious and extremely safe about any little incident that could happen. They want to make sure everything goes smoothly. A very small number of people get invited to use this thing. Perfect conditions, geo-fence location, small area, no highways. great weather, only during the daytime. Like there's so many things that they're trying to do to make sure this little experiment goes well so that they can build out on it and build out on it and build out on it. And maybe one day it's all of Austin. Maybe one day it's all hours. Maybe one day there's nobody in the front seat. But that's all maybe one day type stuff. So if you want to read into this as being a successful test with a few interventions, you can. But that's a really hard extrapolation to go all the way out to like robotaxis all over the country.
I also implore you to get into Waymo because they're really, really good.
Yeah,
and have
it's
been really
funny
good for a long time.
But also use the same tricks at like remote drivers, like constant monitoring by like centers internationally. It's not the goalposts are not that far off.
Yeah, there's a lot of resurfaced talk about Waymo because of these tests, because of the things that Tesla has said about geofence testing before. Waymo being a lot of them are Jaguar I-Paces with a bunch of LiDAR sensors on top, much more expensive to make a bunch of these taxis. But they operate around a whole bunch of cities and without a driver in the front seat. And so naturally, there are lots of instances of them screwing up. And people are bringing back up the footage now of, oh, look at what this Waymo couldn't do. Oh, look at this weird incident that this Waymo pulled off. Or, oh, look at all these things that Waymo has been doing behind the scenes. So this is a very difficult technological problem to solve. I think as a fan of tech, I'm just interested in hopefully these tests going well and this actually like working. I think a lot of people are like picking a horse. Like, I only support the Tesla Vision way, or I only support the LiDAR way. Right. And you will see these like sides fighting each other about oh, LiDAR's stupid, it's overpriced, what a dumb idea. But as a fan of tech, I just want them both to get better. Just get better. I want them to actually work instead of fighting each other. So that's kind of where I'm at. They're both not quite good enough for me to just want them to be everywhere yet. No. So
Waymo is pretty damn good.
Waymo is good. It's in a couple cities. I don't think they're anywhere near the East Coast yet, so I'm like not taking them regularly.
They're going to test in New York again soon.
There's plenty of videos of Waymo just being an absolute nuisance.
For sure.
And the data they put out on their own like service doesn't line up with the data collected by independent observers either. So it's like not actually clear statistically how good Waymo is.
Yeah. There was a neat article about how if you watch all of the videos from all these people invited to the Tesla event and you go, okay, well, there's only a few days of recording and 2 or 3 major instances, then you extrapolate that to however many millions of miles you want them to drive and how many major instances that is. Right. Clearly, it must get better before it scales up.
Yeah. Ellis's crazy corner moment. I just want to press even if Waymo does work really well on an individual level, it is not clear what mass adoption of Waymos will do to a metro area. You know what I mean? It's not clear what it will do to traffic. It's not clear what it'll do to accidents. There are lots of studies that say lots of things on both sides of the argument. I heard a really funny Waymo story this week of someone in either Austin or LA who has a Waymo who operates like that Waymo's territory is his neighborhood, and it has chosen the parking spot right in front of its house as the wait for my next ride spot. And so every day he comes home and there's a Waymo in his parking spot with no one in it, just waiting for a ride to call. And if you wait next to the Waymo for like 10 minutes and it detects that you're waiting, it will go and find another spot.
It's still annoying.
But yeah, every day
he needs to invest in a large cone.
Every day he comes home and has to wait for a Waymo to move.
Yeah.
Wait, just buy a huge cone. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Also, Elon says that on June 28th, there will be a Tesla that drives itself from the factory all the way to the customer's house.
I'm so tempted to make another bet. I am so tempted to make another bet.
Yeah, he's not very good with dates.
Yeah.
This is also
probably intentionally.
Like 3 days away with that would happen. This is when he originally said tentatively the 22nd is when Robotaxi would roll out. It did.
Well, this is only 15 days ago that he tweeted this. Not that long.
So maybe they're planning like a specific customer with a specific thing happening.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Maybe someone lives right next to the factory and they're like, we're doing this. It's happening on this day.
They sleep in the factory.
They have an RV in the parking lot.
Yeah. So yeah, anyway, if you're one of the people on Twitter expecting me to shave my head, just go back and watch the original video. If you're wondering what the bet was, it's not about a Model Y with someone in the front seat driving around Austin. It's about that little gold Robotaxi.
There still is a chance.
Cybercab.
I personally would like to see it.
I thought it was Robotaxi.
Your head shaved.
Robotaxi is a service. Cybercab's the little gold 2-seater thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so
get it right, or you know nothing.
We'll see if they can do it. It'd be fun for the content.
Yeah.
For me personally, but
Yeah.
not for you. So
Yeah, well, they've got a year and change to ship one for $30,000. Yeah. So there you go. Well, speaking of things that are going to go on sale for an interesting price, the Fairphone. There is a new Fairphone.
There's a new Fairphone.
Is it $30,000?
Then thankfully not. So the whole point of the Fairphone, I reviewed a Fairphone a couple years ago, and the Fairphone, as you can probably tell by its name, is intended to be extremely repairable, and you'll be able to replace parts. If one of them breaks, if like the screen breaks, you can pop it off and replace the screen. Key distinction here, not upgradable, like if it was modular, but you can stay at the same level of phone forever by replacing parts anytime they break.
Right.
New Fairphone comes out, new level. This one's a Snapdragon 7S Gen 3, so a little bit higher performing. It also has a 120 hertz dynamic AMOLED display.
Yeah.
And you can, again, replace those parts over and over again and hopefully keep the phone for longer.
Right.
So this is not like if you have a Fairphone 4, it's not like you buy Fairphone 6 parts or something like that. That would be a totally different concept.
Perfect
Project
for someone
Aura.
like Ellis, who just keeps his phone forever.
Yeah.
I don't need no Fairphone. I told you guys know this. I've replaced every single individual part on my phone.
So it's it's basically a Fairphone.
It's basic. It's the ship of Theseus Fairphone. Okay.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Oh, yeah. The idea, I guess, of this one with this new design and with this new chip is to feel a little bit more flagshipy. It's IP55.
Right.
It's got, I don't know if the battery's bigger, but it's a 6.3 inch. It's an OLED. It's nicer than the previous Fairphones have been.
Yeah. And to be fair, like, thanks. I didn't mean to do that, but that's good. A big point about the Fairphone is it is about repairability, obviously, but a big part of their thing is also about fair resource development, trade stuff,
sourcing.
They support
They make
sourcing.
Dua Lipa mine her own lithium.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, they support a lot of ethical lithium mining stuff and try to promote better consumer choice through that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It also has these accessories, which I really hope they're very similar to the CMF phone accessories. I really hope that you can use them when the Fairphone 7 comes out, because the CMF Phone 1, only a couple of them work on the CMF Phone 2, which is a whole accessory ecosystem that only works for one really cheap phone is insane. Yeah. So, and that's just a lot of wasted plastic and stuff. So another interesting thing about it, it has this new switch on it that basically turns it into a dumb phone. Which
I actually think this is pretty cool.
Really interesting.
What?
That is really cool.
Yeah, it's like a minimal phone switch.
Yeah, basically there's a switch on the side that turns it into the Moments UI, which makes everything monochrome and then has 5 of your essential apps. So calendar,
it's a list view.
Meet, Gmail, Chrome, phone.
Sounds like a launcher switch.
What people want.
It's basically a launcher switch, yeah.
That's absolute gas.
Yeah, it's dope. This is a good why didn't they just do this on more phones? I feel
you can do this from the App Store.
Well, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's not integrated. Having it integrated.
Having it integrated is
I think
cool.
the slider is a cool.
is that-
The fact that it's a slider.
I could map that to a double press of a random button on almost any phone.
No, but it's so different, dude, because it's that's a lifestyle choice. That is okay, laugh all you want, but I'm telling you, it's that is a choice you make because of the impact it'll have.
My phone before the end of this episode.
Yeah.
You guys aren't hearing me right. It's as soon as you bake it into software, it's not reflective of the impact it'll actually have on your life. This is a design thing. That's cool.
I love that it's a switch. So you're using your phone like normal, and then you're time to go hang out with my family. And
the beauty of Android is I could just do this.
I know.
I don't need it built into the phone. I don't need
I'm so sick of you green bubblers. I've been hearing this for a decade. The beauty of Android is that all you have to do is spend 3 hours banging your head against the wall with a separate Google Cloud server that you forward all this data to. It's no.
But isn't this
it's a launcher?
Isn't this great that they're baking it into hardware?
Yes.
I know that everyone will always say this could have been an app. It's like the Fuji X half, right? Everyone always says, "Oh, this could have been an app." It's just why? But it's cool.
How is
dedicated
this
hardware
different? You're saying it's baked in. In what way is it
There's a
more
switch.
baked in?
Well, it has a physical hardware.
It's a physical hardware switch,
Right, and so a lot of phones have a customizable button where you can map it to whatever you want. In which case, you would map it to whatever launcher you grab from the Play Store. In what way is this more baked in than me mapping a custom button to a launcher from the Play Store?
In one way, it is.
Matter of fact, that's probably exactly what this is.
It is vertical integration.
in that it's the same company that made the phone, made the launcher.
Yeah.
I guess I'll give you that.
It's
Sure.
And the Switch is
it's because
teal.
it's a conscious
That's
design.
cool.
Yeah.
It's a conscious design choice.
That's not
You know what I
teal,
mean?
that's
The like David said it, because it's a vertically integrated choice. You can have other features and other design. I don't know the phone very well, but you can have everything support this one decision.
Yeah.
Whereas, and we all know, you can map anything you want to anything you want on an Android phone, but it is always annoying and it's always stupid and it never works exactly the way you want to. I love iPhone shortcuts. I could probably come up with something genius like this with an iPhone shortcut, and even those barely work.
I think your view of shortcuts might be tainted by how bad the iPhone shortcuts are, because iPhone shortcuts are bad and are frankly almost unusable compared to what I found like on an Android phone, where
I agree.
On the Zen phone from a couple of years ago, or even the last Zen phone, you'll hit the button for the first time and it'll be like, what in all of your phone would you like to map this button to? And I go, this app. And then it goes, okay. And every time I press that button, it launches that app. And it's great.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's all that this is
I feel
going to do.
strongly about this. I don't know if I'm articulating my argument very well, but I
mostly
do think selling a phone with a dumb phone switch is very different than... Also, the only iPhone shortcut I've ever gotten to work consistently well is one that I made when I first got here, where I'd press an app on my home screen, an icon on my home screen, and it would search for I would search GIFs for the word poop, and then pick a random one and text it to Adam.
That was a slider.
That worked?
Sold.
Dude,
Yeah, what if it was a
if I
Switch?
had the poop button on my phone, totally different experience.
Well, I mean, there is an action button.
I give Fairphone credit here because their dumb phone UI, the 5 apps, are ones that you actually need. Where half of these dumb phone apps don't let you look at your email.
Right.
So giving you Gmail here,
Right.
thank you for realizing that some of us have to work.
Yeah, they
and
still
look at our Gmail.
They still
sometimes.
realize that this needs to be a phone. They just made the UI so that it's less like there's stuff everywhere and there's a lot of choices. It's just like a list with the time and essentials and stuff like that.
Anyway, did you guys know
It's
it
cool.
has 1400 nits of peak brightness?
They made a privacy focused version that does not run Google. It's de-Googled. A de-Googled version of Android called EOS that is made by Muerna. And that is $900. The normal Fairphone is €599.
This says Fairphone
Or about
sells
$700.
only the EOS model through its local partner, or in the okay. So in the US, you can only get it through a partner.
But yeah, it's €599 in
About
a regular
$700
Fairphone.
US
Okay.
dollars,
So
which
getting-
is still a lot, but
When you
it's
put
cool.
a SIM card in an EOS phone, it asks if you want to initialize the media. Anyone? Canon joke?
Canon joke.
Canon.
Initialize.
Joke is
I'm like 0 for 3 today with you guys.
They have to be stupider, you know?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Too smart.
It's no Google
They're
Drive.
too smart. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay, so besides that, they are going to send me one. So I should have one probably for next week that we can look at and talk about and switch
Press
on
the
and off.
crap out of that button.
Let's
See what
it's
happens.
it's a switch, up
Switch.
and down, up and down. Okay.
Wait, last question about that.
Oh yeah.
Can I remap that switch?
I don't think so.
Probably worse than your usual Android phone. You can't remap it. I'm guessing.
I'm assuming.
Counterpoint, the Switch is pina colada colored.
That's true.
Damn, that is good.
If you have it's more yellow. Okay.
Yeah, I
anyway,
don't think it
they're
is.
gonna make. Right now they have 4 accessories for it. So there's a case accessory, which I don't know if you could really consider an accessory, but it does have a slot out for the other accessories. There's like a finger jammer thing where you put your finger in it so you can hold it easier. There is a wallet case that looks pretty good, and there is a lanyard, which is a choice. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm excited.
Wallet phone cases terrify me. This is an episode for another day, but I can't understand putting everything on your phone and then losing everything at once.
I will say,
That's mainly what I'm worried about.
what kind of pina colada is that? Okay, I got one last thing. Okay, there is this new Adobe Project Indigo camera app that got kind of like stealth launched. This is quite interesting. So Mark Lavoie, who is the person that invented HDR Plus on the Nexus 6. I've talked with him extensively over the years. He is very smart. He basically created computational photography.
He made the Pixel cameras good.
Yeah, he really defined the Pixel camera look.
He also said that they made it based on art, which is interesting.
Well, the Pixel 6, yeah, they used Renaissance art. And Pixel 7 and 8, they moved away from that a little bit. But so anyway, in 2020 or so, Mark left Google to go work at Adobe, and he said that he was going to be working on a universal camera app at Adobe. It made a lot of sense for him considering he like invented computational photography, right? So we were all kind of like waiting with bated breath to see what is this universal camera app that he's working on. It's been a long time. It's been like 5 years. And last week, he dropped with Adobe this new app that's in super beta called Project Indigo. The cool thing is you don't actually have to have an Adobe subscription to download it, which is nice. It is currently only available on the iPhone, which is not nice, but you know, it kind of makes sense in some ways. Anyway.
Hard disagree.
Well, I don't know. They have to develop whatever. Okay, so basically, I read the technical paper on this because they released this whole paper about it, and effectively, what it is just a intense, ramped up version of what HDR Plus was doing on the original Pixel phones. So I just want to give a short primer about computational photography on smartphones. Generally, HDR on smartphones, the way that it does it is that it takes multiple really short frames and then it aligns them and then it boosts the overall exposure of those frames. And generally, when you don't get a lot of light on a pixel, you have more noise, which is just random pixels that don't get the information. And when you up the exposure of all the pixels, you see the noise more. Mm-hmm. You know, there's this thing called the signal to noise ratio. So what they do with computational photography is because your phone has a gyroscope, it's able to know exactly what the pitch, yaw, and skew is of your phone at all given times. And so it can align the exact pixels over the course of like 7 frames, and that allows it to have a better signal to noise ratio because it takes the average of every single pixel, does that. So what smartphones have done for a while now with computational photography is it's taken like 7 frames and aligned those. But when you do that, when you're not getting a lot of light, you also have to do a lot of noise reduction because you're taking these really short exposures, you're upping the exposure, you have to do noise reduction. That basically smooths out the image, and then you have to apply sharpening. That's what's like led to this like smartphone plasticky look that we've had for a very long time. And so Mark's vision for this new Project Indigo app was to try to like kind of counteract that plasticky look. Also because it's HDR, it like crushes the highlights down and it brings up the shadows and it kind of creates a really flat sort of like tone curve. So what the new Project Indigo app does is a few things. One of the things is that it takes 32 frames of even shorter exposures, which will lead to lower noise, which is really cool. And then they also, and I guess they can do that because they have faster processing in phones now. You know, when the Nexus 6 was out, it was like, it took a while. Once you press the button, it would like process. But now these ISPs are like super fast. So you're able to take way more exposures and align them more, which reduces noise significantly, which is quite cool. They also did this, they have this new way of processing RAW files. So Apple's ProRAW on the iPhone basically will take, it's like a semi-RAW image. It's not true RAW because it's doing the demosaicing to push out the like ProRAW file. This creates a new type of DNG that doesn't do the demosaicing, which is, I have a whole separate, we have a whole separate video on the studio channel about demosaicing that we can put in the show notes. Practically what it means is that you're going to be able to get like way more color dynamic range, which is really nice. You're going to get way lower noise. And then it also has all these new features with like long exposure photography that looks really good that also uses like 32 frames of 1 second exposures. That looks awesome. It's going to have pro controls. Adobe's adding all these Photoshop AI tools like removing reflections in the mirror and stuff. So this new Project Indigo app, overall, it's like basically they let Mark Lavoie cook for 5 years, and they were like, do what you did for Google, but do it for us with the new technology that smartphones now have. And then they're also integrating all of these other AI tools that Adobe has developed over the last few years. So it's going to be like a test bed for a lot of these features. It's currently free on the App Store. You can download it. You don't have to have an Adobe subscription, which is really nice.
Do you need to have a test flight or something?
Nope. While you were describing all of the computational photography and stuff, I downloaded it and started playing with it, and it's pretty nice. I mean, UI is pretty intuitive. I've taken a few test images. This podcast studio has perfect lighting, so I'm not going to be able to actually see what it's good at yet, but I want to play with it.
Yeah, the one thing in the white paper that I was like, is that they're really in on HDR stuff and doing like tone mapping. They developed this new type of JPEG that basically can like apply a tone map later, and I just think HDR looks bad. I just think it looks bad. It always looks bad.
It's a lot of HDR.
I forgot that he left to go to Adobe to do this.
Yeah.
That was so long ago, but I am kind of excited for this. This seems
interesting. It's cool. I mean, it's interesting. And if you look, we can also put the article, we can also put like the white paper in the show notes. There's some samples in the white paper. Some of them are like, but then you look at the long exposure stuff and it looks really good. It looks very, very good. Part of the paper is he was saying like, smartphone photos can look like good on your phone, but as soon as you put them like on a big screen or try to print them, they look awful. And so they specifically were thinking about how can we take photos that are going to look good when you blow them up and not look like plasticky and horrible. So that's a nice little thing. So I'm pretty excited about that.
How long until you need a Adobe subscription?
2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the thing I'm most surprised about. This is you saying here's an Adobe product that doesn't need an Adobe subscription for it, which is wild.
I mean, funny enough, when you download the app, it has the like test flight looking icon where it has like the like blueprint chart thing that goes through it. So it's clearly like an alpha app, but it is interesting.
It's weird to me because this is like, at least in my opinion, clearly a pro app. You know, so like the fact that it is free without a subscription kind of is confusing to me.
Yeah, I mean, you can just point and shoot, but it does have a lot of pro controls. But yeah, regular people are probably not going to download
it. Takes all your photos and puts them into their AI research library.
I kind of want to go test some of the long exposure stuff because it looks really good. So anyway.
About to Montauk?
Ayo.
I'll play with it. We'll report back next week. See how it is.
We'll play with it.
Yeah.
So
the last time David and I drove out to Montauk to take pictures, it was so cloudy we didn't even take any pictures.
The last time Adam and I drove out to Montauk to take photos, we got home at 4 a.m. and then Google threatened me after I published my article.
Oh my God.
Yeah, nice.
But you know who will never threaten you?
Trivia.
Me doing trivia.
I feel like you would. I feel like you have.
David, if you get this question wrong.
Yeah, actually, yeah. You can't prove it. Next question.
I might be able to.
So we spoke a little bit earlier about Mario Kart World. In Mario Kart, you can choose between 50, 100, or 150cc races. But also in Mario Kart, what does the CC mean?
Credit card.
Sabathia.
We'll think about it.
Actually,
you a Yankee fan?
Yes.
The most
Unfortunately, yeah.
Fair enough. Answers at the end like usual. We'll be right back. Support for this show comes from Selectquote. Everyone wishes that they could have a do-over in life. Maybe you wish you had learned coding earlier in life, or maybe you regret not buying Bitcoin at less than a cent. But here's the good thing. It's never too late to stop that next regret. That's why right now you can secure your family's future by finding life insurance at Selectquote. So if you're new to life insurance, you're not alone. For over 40 years, Selectquote has helped more than 2 million Americans understand their options and get the coverage they need. You don't have to sort through dozens of confusing options on your own. Instead, one of their licensed agents will find the right policy at the right price for you, comparing plans from trusted, top-rated insurance companies to find a policy that fits your health, your lifestyle, and your budget. Selectquote works with providers who offer same-day coverage up to $2 million worth with no medical exam required. Get the right life insurance for you for less and save more than 50% at selectquote.com/waveform. Save more than 50% on term life insurance at selectquote.com/waveform today to get started. That's selectquote.com/waveform. Support for Waveform comes from Framer. Nearly everyone's got a website, but not everyone has a good one, but you can make sure your website stands out with the help of Framer. Whether you're overwhelmed by traditional site builders or frustrated with cookie-cutter designs, Framer gives you the freedom to create a site that's professional, polished, and uniquely yours. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. It's free to start. You can browse 700-plus pixel-perfect templates or design from a totally blank canvas. Real-time collaboration means your writer, designer, and marketer can all tweak the same page at once. no version control nightmares.
So having a good website in 2025 is, I mean, it's a necessity. Have you guys ever used the EasyPass website lately?
Yeah, it's trash.
It's like
bad.
Embarrassing. Yeah. Framer lets morons like me create really good looking websites with no building experience at all. Just vibes. You may not know, but when our thumbnail designer is on vacation, like last week, I'm actually the one making the waveform thumbnails. So I consider myself someone who can make things look nice, but I would never be able to turn it into a website. Framer's easy to set up, a bunch of great tools that remind me of editing softwares I'm used to, and before you know it, you can have a website that looks like it should be in 2025.
Yeah, plus their built-in AI handles the heavy lifting by generating starter layouts, auto-translating your entire site to any language, and even suggests on-brand color palettes. So if you're ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer, start free today at framer.com. So go to framer.com to start building a site for free. Framer.com. All right, welcome back. All right, so this is actually the last episode of the month of June, which is where we usually do our crown and clown. We thought about it. We didn't have too much to say there, but in honor of the NBA Finals, which ended in the month of June, we are going to attempt, as a group, to explain to David, who I assume did not watch the finals.
I did not.
What happened using tech terms.
I don't even know who's in the finals.
This is perfect. This is how we want to explain it to you so that you can appreciate the chaos that it was.
The only reason I knew the Knicks were in it is because the
There
people
were.
outside my window wouldn't stop screaming until 4 a.m.
Which is perfect because the Knicks lost right before the finals.
They were not in the final.
They're in the semifinals.
They were in the the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah. They were in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah. So, my method, I think, is actually a throwback to earlier this episode.
Oh.
I think it would be easiest if I explained it in terms of Mario Kart. So you know how in Mario Kart there's like a bunch of races? Imagine there's like a series of like 7 races, and whoever wins 4 races first gets the gold, right? And there are some characters, obviously, on each side. There are teams.
Cow.
And I think, some of the biggest characters for this particular NBA Finals would be, so the 2 teams were the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers. The Oklahoma City Thunder have Mario on their team. He's like the main character. He's the MVP of the league.
Oh.
Everybody knows who he is. He's having a great year.
Is that the guy that was like, oh, they traded him? What the heck? No.
No, so his actual name is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA for short.
How have I not? Oh, I did hear that.
But
Okay. Like
this is Mario. The other side has
That's Mario.
Yeah, teams expected to
Do the
win.
other
They
side have Bowser?
They have Mario on their team. The other side, who is Shea?
Waluigi. Definitely Waluigi.
Shea is Waluigi. Not everybody, it's an acquired taste, right? Some people would say he's overrated.
Wait,
In fact,
Shea is?
No.
It's Waluigi.
Halliburton.
Tyrese Halliburton is Waluigi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they have this player, his actual name is Tyrese Halliburton, but we'll call him Waluigi.
Wait. He's the guy who made that crazy shot against the Knicks to go to overtime in that one game. Remember you said you saw that clip of the guy who like dribbled all the way back, made that shot, and it sent to overtime?
Yeah. And
that
then they
guy.
lost.
Yeah.
And then the Knicks lost.
The Knicks lost, yes.
Yeah.
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 No, I turned on my projector, and the first thing that happened was that, and I was like, "Whoa!" And then I changed the channel.
No, Halliburton is Waluigi because it's like a lot of people think he's a little bit annoying. A lot of people think he is vastly overrated. A lot of
Waluigi
people
overrated?
A lot of people can't really stand the vibe, but the contingent of Waluigi fans are like, there's no one else.
What about Wario? Like, is he more like Mario?
No.
Or the other?
No.
So he's
No.
like more like Mario's evil brother.
Maybe Waluigi isn't the right one. That was who I went to
I like that.
first.
I like that.
Is he tall?
Yeah.
6'5".
Well, I guess they're all tall.
Yeah, they're all kind of tall. Yeah.
Maybe like
And lanky.
Is he tall? Is tall and lanky? Okay, whatever. Okay, so Waluigi.
So the races are happening.
Is he
It's
evil?
a team. It depends on who you are.
Alex thinks so.
Yeah. They're team races, but obviously first one to win. Mario's team is expected to literally win every race. They're such overwhelming favorites. It's not even close.
And what team is that?
And that's the Thunder.
Thunder.
They had an all-time season. It was great.
Okay.
But what weirdly happened was the first game, Waluigi's team won.
Okay.
And I was like, oh,
That's not common.
that's all right. We got a series on our hands. Second game, okay, Mario's team won.
Mario.
So we're back to 1-1.
Okay.
Third game, Waluigi's team gets another win.
Ooh.
And the theme for a lot of these wins is like, you know how when you're in like last place in Mario Kart and you are kind of so far behind it doesn't really matter, but then you start getting all the best power-ups and then you start surging ahead and you go from dead last all the way to suddenly first in the last like half of the last lap.
Right.
That's like their thing. That's like Waluigi's thing.
Really?
He'll be in last place. He'll seem like he's out of it, and the whole team's like kind of not going to win, and it seems like they've accepted they're not going to win. And in the last half of the last lap, boom, power-ups, giant blimp thing, surge to the front, first place, they win. That's how they win their games.
Did they win the third game?
That's
game that way.
That's how they've been
won
winning
3 games?
all playoffs. So they're up 2-1. And then Mario's team wins again, and it's 2-2.
Oh,
Then
we got a series.
Mario's team goes up 3-2. So, like, all right, it's been a nice Cinderella run. We kind of thought Waluigi's team had a shot here, but now it's 3-2, and Mario's team's probably going to win the next game.
Okay.
And then this is the fourth game. Then this sixth game, Waluigi's team just smacks Mario's team. It's not even close.
Really?
Blue shelled.
So, big time, leading the whole way. No one behind him ever had a shot. So he gets to the finish line, and it's like, okay, now we've got a critical Game 7. Whoever wins this race wins the whole series.
Dang.
Mario's team or Waluigi's team, who you got?
And in the first lap of this final race, Waluigi's controller breaks.
Yeah.
Oh,
Really, really sad.
Wait, he broke something?
Waluigi's controller breaks.
In the game?
Yeah. And so from that moment, his team never really has a shot.
No way.
Mario's team wins going away. Kind of a muted celebration because, if that controller didn't break, it would have been a lot closer. But
Wow.
And before
Mario
that
gets his
controller
chip.
broke, he was in first.
yeah.
Not just first,
He was cooking.
But Waluigi, like 3 separate times during this playoff run, had been down by 1 point, and at the very last second made a huge bucket and ended up winning the game. Like people were literally calling him the moment because he just like
Gold coins.
So did he break his
Red shells.
he tore his Achilles,
Yeah, he
How
tore
did
his
he
Achilles.
do it?
balling too hard.
He was
Hooping.
kind of.
Was it during the game?
Yeah,
Yeah.
during the game. He was kind of playing through a half injury, and then
So did they like bring him away?
yeah,
I
gets
think he
carted
got
off.
surgery before the game was over. Like I think they just took him straight to the hospital.
He was
I take it back.
on
that
crutches.
did not happen.
But the next day, he's got a picture with surgery.
Oh my
and everything.
gosh.
So yeah, pretty dramatic. Hopefully, this analogy helps you appreciate that while Mario's team won,
Poor guy.
in the back of everyone's head, if Waluigi's controller didn't break, I know not everybody's a fan, but that could have been a crazy Game 7.
So it would have been an upset if they won.
It would have been an upset.
Because there's also like I'm not going to say that Mario's team was like the
gosh.
most stacked team ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was sort of like Mario, Bowser, Peach, Luigi versus Waluigi, Dry Bones, the fishing rod guy who like pulls you off when you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Koopa Troop is in there.
that Koopa Troop is in there, like a second Dry Bones for some reason.
Yeah.
I can't wait to edit this because I'm putting all of them right next to their players.
Birdo? What about Birdo?
Yeah.
Birdo is definitely on Waluigi.
Nemar's Koopa Troopa for sure, I think.
Yeah. What about the new cow player?
Not that. Who's Alex Caruso?
He's got a ring already, so maybe.
Dude, he's Toad. Alex Caruso's 100% Toad.
Yeah.
Okay, well
shiny.
that's
Yeah.
really depressing for everybody involved.
Yeah.
It does sting.
Like even if you won, you'd be like,
Yeah.
okay.
Mario actually went to Waluigi's locker room after the game and like patted him on the back and was like, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah,
That's kind of
it's gonna be okay. I'm gonna go back to my trophy.
Everyone who likes Mario was like, see, Mario's so classy. What a great.
I think what they should have done is they should have stopped the game, waited for like 6 months for it to heal, and then played it.
Interesting take.
That's so funny.
That is an interesting take.
I think you should be the
I've
commissioner.
never heard that.
I think that's messed up. They basically got a free win.
It's interesting because,
happens.
Waluigi's team beat another team who a different player's controller broke on that team. So now it's a whole thing.
I mean, just like how Bowser gives Mario a free win in the game is because he's like, oh no, my tail's so long, you can spin me around and throw me out the wall.
I think one of the cool, unique things about basketball compared to other sports is that playoff basketball is also an endurance sport. Like it's not just about can you play basketball better than the other team. It's can you play basketball every other day for 4 weeks and your body still hold up.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The end of the NHL playoffs are basically like what tape is holding you together after the end of finals.
Last team standing.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Like there were multiple people this year who were like, oh yeah, my foot was broken. Like I had like rib cracked and like
gosh.
I mean,
muscles tearing off.
That's
the bone.
true, but there's still something going on with the NBA lately because this is like the third Achilles rupture in like 6 months or something like that.
I think.
Something like that, where it used to be like once a season. Now it's like, I think there was 8 this season alone. Some crazy number.
I'm cutting off because we're about 30 seconds away from someone using the phrase pace and space, and this is not a basketball podcast. And,
Yet.
So, David, do you feel like you understand the NBA Finals?
Yeah, but you could have just told me what happened.
Are you rooting for Waluigi next year?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
You hope Waluigi comes back stronger than ever.
The whole idea of the anti-hero, it's like based around Waluigi.
And Tyrese is Waluigi is totally the anti-hero of the NBA right now.
It's like in The Incredibles 1, with
Frozone.
No. Frozone's a good guy.
I'm just
with the bad guy who has the big hair and he's the kid. Syndrome.
Never watched that movie.
Like he's the anti-hero, but you like have sympathy for him.
He's not that bad. And I'm a Knick fan. I don't think Halliburton's that bad. I think he's just like
I was talking about
very
syndrome.
Excuse you. No. A few weeks ago, Adam, you came to work and you were looking kind of niffed, and I was like, Adam, what's up? And you're like, I just hate him so much. But that picture of Tyrese Halliburton in the Gucci loafers, man, it's so dope. His vibe is so good. But
He took a picture with his dog. How could you not like
All right,
him?
we got to take it back to technology with the trivia section of the
Hit it.
podcast.
Let's do it.
I need a pen.
I don't even remember the first one. Oh.
Question 1, IO versus IO was in the news today, but I need you to give me as many IO definitions and acronyms as you can give me starting now.
Like just things it could mean.
Yeah, but I won't accept people's names. Like initials don't count, and I guess that's my only rule. I thought of more rules, but I don't care to.
I don't think any of us have very many to break the rules.
I have like 10-ish on my sheet.
I have one
only know
Marques should have gotten, and I'm interested.
David, you should at least know 2. David, you should
You
definitely
mean,
know 2.
You mean it could be like the Google? I thought.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, I'll accept Google I/O the event as a thing.
Really?
Well,
Well, you can't write it now.
But that's not an acronym.
David, we
I
made
know,
a
but it's-
whole.
But that's not that. But Google I/O just means
I said,
Google.
Yeah, but the
I said
time
definitions
stopped.
or acronyms, but also, David, I was talking about
confusing
the I/O acronym that we made an entire bonus episode about.
What is that?
Wait,
Okay.
Are you serious? All right, Marques, you go first.
What are you talking about?
All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 here.
What?
All right, let's
wrote-
hear.
Wait.
In, out, input, output.
That's the same one.
That's
I'm
the same
I'm not
thing.
giving
Darn,
it
okay.
twice.
The state of Iowa
Yes, that is
Iowa.
correct. The
Wait.
state acronym for Iowa.
and iota.
That's not an acronym.
That's not a. I would never
wait,
use.
wait, hold up. IO is not.
IO is an abbreviation. I'm
Iowa
accepting
is not
here.
an acronym. It's an abbreviation. If you had said, come on, you said
an acronym is an abbreviation.
No, it's not.
It's not, but I feel like I feel like it,
Oh,
it
come
was
on.
fine.
So I got
I
2.
specifically said place names are accepted in both the first cut to trivia and just now. So
Whatever.
I'm not going to give you iota though because I don't think that is really short for that. So we have 2 for you, Marques.
Last one, Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O.
Dang.
That was a great
I might have given you that on creativity.
If that's
Don't,
the
though.
tiebreaker, I'll give it to you,
No.
Marques.
Okay.
Yeah,
How many did he get?
2.
Wait, what tiebreaker?
As if you guys also get
Wait,
2.
so only the
But we
person
have
that gets it
tiebreakers
gets the
for that?
point?
Is this like hard?
What is happening?
I don't get why
Okay,
this
whatever.
is
Okay,
so much
I have
harder
two.
than any
Well,
other.
it's
trivia
usually
could
not competitive.
Input output. And in Ultimate Frisbee, an inside out throw
that's
is called
true.
an IO.
That's true.
I will accept that. It was not on my list, but Andrew, so
Wow.
unfortunately,
Very cool.
Marquez is still winning because he does have the Old McDonald tiebreaker here. I said only one of you would get points. I
Oh,
explained
did you?
all
I
of
just
this.
missed that. I'm
I
sorry.
missed that too.
See.
All right.
All right, David.
Input output. And then I wrote Google I/O in cursive after the thing.
Well after the buzzer.
But I didn't know.
Well, it doesn't matter anyways because Marquez gets the.
Let me fill you out on some other
Yes.
definitions, abbreviations,
Yeah, please.
acronyms
Okay.
for I/O. We have the top level domain that we did the whole episode on,
Indian
.Ocean.
Ocean.
We
I
have
didn't
one
know
right there.
I didn't think about that.
When you're writing legal documents, you end in IO, which is the acronym for the Latin phrase meaning, or it's Latin phrase in illo ordine, which means respectively. You have Io, the moon of Jupiter. You have Io, an islet in Greece. There's a few other place names that don't really matter.
Jupiter, yeah.
There's a freshwater snail called an Io that I did not know about until researching this.
Nice.
There's actually a lot of them. But shout out for getting Iowa, Marquez.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Shout out to Caitlin Clark.
Still don't.
Wait, is Iowa not IA? No, it's Indiana, right? No, wait. Hold on.
It's IA, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So shh.
Uh-oh.
So I win.
Yeah.
Damn.
So Andrew wins.
What about me with the Google I/O thing?
There we go. Wow. That's funny because when I googled
I
IO,
thought so, and then I was. What is I? Oh, Idaho's ID,
Idaho.
and Indiana is IN.
Idaho's ID?
how did
ID.
you know what's really funny is what
wrong?
told me that that IO was Iowa's state abbreviation, and I just believed it. The Google AI search
Did it
summary.
really?
Yeah.
Fun.
Idaho's ID?
Yeah.
Anyway, that question was painful and annoying, and I'm kind of mad at you guys for making that so tough. So
us.
it's
Oh
Adam's
yeah, we're
turn
the
now.
problem.
Old McDonald would have given me credit for that.
In Mario Kart, what does CC stand for?
I'll give you a hint. It stands for the same thing it does with real life motorcycles. Why would it be anything different?
I'll get to it in a bit. But while we do this, quick update on the score. Marquez with 26, Andrew with 16, David with 30.
I feel like it came
Still
to me,
30.
and I don't.
That
know if
much of a
that's-
hint?
Yeah.
Really?
That's what I was trying to avoid.
Sorry.
It was kind of a
that's
trick
exactly
question.
what I thought. Yeah.
Okay, flip it and
Wait,
read.
why
What do we
would it
got?
be a trick question?
What did you guys say?
Cubic centimeters.
That's correct.
Yeah.
No. What?
Oh, you were laughing at him because
Andrew, what'd you say?
cubic centimeter.
Correct. David?
I said closed circuit.
Wrong. So
Well, wait.
Andrew and Marquez
okay.
get the point. It is cubic centimeter. The reason I didn't want them to know that is because that I was trying to trick them with specifically in Mario Kart, but it's the same thing in real life.
Can you
It's cubic
explain
centimeter.
to me why
Oh.
it's that?
Engine
Engine
displacement.
The size
size.
of the engine. Yeah.
So when you're in
liter.
Mario Kart and you have 50, 100, and 150, why is it that it's harder?
It's
as you
fast.
go?
It's faster.
150cc
So-
engine with more displacement is more powerful, so that everything goes faster.
Really?
They're just everything's faster together.
I've been incorrect my entire life. I really thought that was like
This
the
might be there might be people learning this in real
And then-
time.
Yeah, I thought that was
real-
the difficulty level.
Real
It
motors.
kind of is too.
Guys, I apologize. I think I might be the problem.
Nevertheless,
2 points.
hopefully somebody.
We don't update the score the day Andrew gets 2 points. Just saying. Just end it. Please end it.
On that note, hopefully someone learned something from the last half hour of this podcast. I know that I did. I learned that Iowa is not IO. But I like the state anyway. It's pretty cool. Lots of corn. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Maybe we'll be on Spotify videos someday, but not now. Catch you guys later. Peace.
Waveform is produced by Adam Molina, Ellis Rovin, we're part of the Vox Media Podcast Network, and our music was created by Vainsil.
Bingo.
Some of those were words.
Oh, wait, you see that over there? It's the rails. We're way off the rails. We should bring it back.
Okay, fine. Okay.
One
None
more
of that's
thing.
making it in, so I can get a clean cut.
No,
Absolutely.
no, you got to keep that in.
No.
Everyone loves
think-
our rambles.